Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to my channel. We're in front of the 20-gallon Oase Cinescaper, and I wanted to talk to you about a whole bunch of things that are going on in this aquarium. Most of it, maybe all of it, is pretty fantastic, so I don't have a hidden negative. There's no bugaboo. This is just me showing you an aquarium in its full flush in total awe of Mother Nature, and how I've been lucky enough to get it to be like this. I mean, honestly, look at those longfin Albino Corydora. I've been talking about them in videos when I'm not even looking at them, when I'm not even filming them, and this is why. Not only are they the exact opposite of a shy and reclusive Corydoras, they're going bonkers. It's like a beautiful ballet. I mean, are you kidding me? Just look at these fantastic fish. It's no wonder they're crowd pleasers. You know, I said this before, every time I film them, I bought a bag of 6 juveniles at a fish swap. I believe the Greenwater Aquarium Society, their fish swap in the suburbs of Chicago, for a pittance. I don't know what I got 5 or 6 for, but $15 maybe, something like that. And I had no idea they were gonna turn out this lovely. I bought them on a whim because I wanted some Cory cats for this aquarium, and there they were. I didn't know the dealer per se, but swaps are generally a good bet. And I went with it, and I am so glad that I did. I don't believe I've lost a single one. There's 5 of the original group, and then there's 2 smaller ones. You see that one back there? It's from the same type of Corydora, the Aeneus variety longfin. The other type of longfin Albino Corydora that is available from time to time is another species, and I have that, and if I don't get too caught up in other subject matter, I'll swing pan over and show you what those look like. Honestly, I mean, they're great fish, but they're not this fantastic. I mean, this is like, I don't know, it's so stunning. You'd think that this was a special effect, you know, a CGI aquarium fish. And the little ones, the 2 that are in here, and I have a couple others, I believe they're gonna grow up just as beautiful as these older ones. I could be wrong, but the tail is, not only are they smaller, but the tail is not as splendiferous as these, but that was how these looked when they were small, so I have every reason to believe that these are going to grow up to be fantastic specimens of their kind and add to this wonderful group of showstoppers in my aquarium here. And I'm glad they're so boisterous and out in front on the stage that I've built for my fish over that luscious green carpet of dwarf sage, dwarf hairgrass, Halanthium plants. A bit of weeping moss gets in there. But that was supposed to be the front stage for all my fish to cavort about in. But the Tetras, of which I have some lovely brass Tetras, you can see them right there, gold or brass Tetras, whatever you want to call them, very underrated fish. They are spectacular because of what they are not. They're not gaudy or colorful like these green neon Tetras back there, which are, you know, an outstanding addition to most nano tanks, but I'll get to those in a moment because they do have an asterisk next to them, at least they have for me. The gold Tetra is one of the few Tetras where when you see them and they're really, really gold, that's actually a something biological the fish creates to fight off a parasite in the wild, and it looks like gold specks, almost like the disease ick, but it's not ick. It's a gold coloration to our eyes, and it thwarts a pathogen that's particularly virulent for that species. Now in our aquariums, that defense mechanism is not necessary. So many times the fish that we get in multiple generations of tank raised, the gold color becomes more of a brass. But with a nice light, they're just fantastic either way, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you whether these are wild caught or tank raised. I don't remember. Again, purchased in the beginning when I was building this fish room and so much was going on, I didn't take the copious notes that I tend to do now. So I beg your pardon for that. But they are an underrated, generally inexpensive, gorgeous fish. No one ever talks about them. Don't sleep on the gold or brass tetra. The green neon that I was talking about, there might be at least 14 in here, maybe more. But they're reclusive, and that's the asterisk. For a lot of people, they tend to do what they're doing in here, which is almost looking like Christmas tree ornaments in and amongst that Ludwigia there. And that's just what they do. They're reclusive. You know, the way people talk about corydoras, which these are not reclusive, but that's what people say about a lot of cory cats. You can definitely say the same thing for the green neon tetra, whereas regular neon tetras or cardinal tetras are a lot more bold. And I have both of those other kinds of tetras, and they are indeed much more bold than this. Now, granted, a lot of it is environment, not just DNA, you know, not just into the hard wiring of the fish. This heavily planted tank with a strong light, it stands to reason that a fish found in black water, tannin stained waters of where it's indigenous to, is going to prefer a more subdued part of the aquarium. So in a way, I can't blame them, and I can't be mad or sad. It's just part of what makes them happy, and they are happy. Now these are the red Bexford pencilfish. Don't know why they are called red. They really aren't, but maybe they are just compared to that that super red Ludwigia back there. They are not red. But what would be red compared to that? I mean, are you kidding me? Look at this. That is so intense. Now I have this plant in other aquariums and it grows as well, but the color doesn't show as intensely as it does in here. And honestly, folks, I'm not sponsored, but Chihiro's, that's the RGB Slim, red, green, blue Slim. You know, it costs more, but, and it's not just my opinion. People I really, really respect, some proprietors of two of the local fish shops I go to, have said that Chihiro's by far shows off their plants and their displays better than any other light that they have. So the RGB Slim has something to do with these intense colors, but it also might have something to do with the green neons preferring a darker part of the aquarium. But I can see them, I know they're there and they're happy and they come out at feeding. So I've talked about the two very red plants, the super red to the left and the Ludwigia repens to the right here. In the middle is what at one point was the centerpiece plant. I mean, it's still in the center, but it's now part of a bigger composition, and that's this Crypticorn Balancea, I believe. Look at the rippled, stunning bronze colors. Again, like a special effect. It's almost unreal, but it is 100% real. But then again, even these common Crypticorn here are showing intense color, as well as the purple on this Bucephalandra, which is running along the back edge of the carpet. And then my latest and greatest, this Hygrophila, I want to say chai, but no, it's Arigui. This plant, unlike a lot of hygros, they all like light, but they'll all kind of grow green and fairly robust in their own way. in any decent light, but this one needs a really good light to get the effect you're seeing here, which is low to the ground, beautiful, healthy, purplish red color with some white piping. This has been in the aquarium about 6 months, and here's some I put in about 2 months ago, and you can see the difference. This one's already starting to get its mojo, and I'm hoping it will look just like its brethren to the far left, giving some organization to the chaos. Do you remember, folks, one of my favorite terms in planted aquariums is organized chaos, and this tank is certainly an example of that. So the Bucephalandra is doing really well in here. It takes forever to get a nice crop going, if you will, and to develop its purple colors depending on species. But these all looked kind of green and yellow when I put them in, and over time those fabulous purples have just erupted. Some of them are flowering, which is always exciting. I've got Lemonphilia sessiflora. That used to be a dominant plant in here, and it wants to be a dominant plant in here. I literally have to clip it sometimes twice a week with the light and CO2 I'm putting in the system, to say nothing of the nutrients. The cool thing about this plant in a good system is that even when I clip the tops and the stems do a double offshoot, it doesn't look janky. It always looks kind of good, robust, and fluffy. Now in a tank without CO2 and light, this plant will still do fantastic, but it might not grow as fast and as perfectly. It might be a little bit leggier with a little less fluff in its look. Its look feel will be different, but it is a very easy plant and a super fast grower. Maybe the fastest growing aquarium plant there is, and that's saying a lot. Here's another fast grower back here, Pogostem and Octopus. And again, like the one I just talked about, I can just crop the top, and because of the way the leaf structure is and the way this plant is built, you don't see that, and I use the word janky, that janky double stem effect, which I don't happen to like. I mean, aquarists can make it work. Like, there's a lot of double stems in this Ludwigia Super Red, but if I really look at it and move my fingers through it, it looks, it's not right. And I don't mean to sound like a perfectionist, but the bottom is twiggy and there's all these multiple stems from cuttings that are shooting out, and it's great, but it will need attention sooner, bigger time attention sooner than the Pogostem and Octopus and the Lemonphilia sessiflora. What I mean by that is I'll have to pull the whole group out and just take the very best stems and start them over as individual stems, especially as they reach the top for the second or third time, which this is a day or two away from reaching the surface. And you can see the repens has breached the surface. In some tanks it'll flop over, and then start growing roots out of the stems higher up along the plant. You can see some of those white roots just coming out there. This plant has no problem growing in a floating fashion, although they should probably always be used as a stem and in the background, whereas the Super Red Mini is definitely a stem, and you can use it in the mid-ground depending on how big your tank is. Hell, you could use it anywhere. I'm a big believer in breaking the rules of aquascaping. If the plant's happy and it's growing well, and you can create a ecosystem where everything is thriving and happy, I mean, to hell with the rules. This is some Christmas moss. I said willow moss before. I jumble those species together. It's not Java moss, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think Java moss is great for breeding and for beginners. but it doesn't look as intense and fabulous as that. Look at that green. Where's the brown? Where's the spindly stems? It doesn't exist. There's no algae in there. It's just a beautiful representation of its kind. And a lot of that has to do with this moss bracket with 2 magnets that you can get on Etsy or anywhere, eBay, or if you have someone you know in the hobby that does print on demand aquarium stuff. I mean, that's how these are made. And boy, because of the circulation from bottom to top, plus the CO2 and light, I get specimens of moss from this and other aquariums when I use those little racks like I've never experienced before. I'm moving away from the tank because these are just, this is just, look at that. I pulled that all off of racks, and I'm gonna do something with that, but it's premium grade moss. Like if I was selling weed, that would be the good stuff. This, by the way, is a fun little vase tank that all has bacopa in it. It's just an experiment. I want to see if I can get it to flower. It's taken a couple months to get like this. Maybe I'll do a whole video on that system, but I mean, it's kind of a novelty for me. But yeah, I mean, I love it, and maybe you did too when you just saw it there. Undoubtedly, I missed a few plants in my discussion here. As we live and breathe, there is some Rotala Willichi or Willicki, I can never say that one right, and that's this little feathery one here. When I do clear cut the rest of the plants, it will show better and do better, but I haven't removed it completely, because when the other plants have been cut down or tended to, it's nice to have a plant species or two that have not been cut down or attended to keep the natural look, as well as maintain the integrity of the ecosystem. There's a whole school of thought that says if you do a major clear cut of all your plants at the same time, you could create real problems, like with ammonia and beneficial bacteria, etc. Now, being an OCD guy a little bit, and definitely have an addictive personality where I like all or nothing type of thing. It's hard for me to be patient and only work with a couple plants at a time. Generally, when I put my hands in the tank, I want to get the job done and go from start to finish. But it is wise, and aquarium keeping teaches us the wisdom of patience. It is probably wiser to do it piecemeal. I run this aquarium with an ADA Superjet. It was a luxury purchase for sure. The canister from ADA. Oh, what the hell? Let me just show you. Interrupt the flow, but there. It's a beautiful piece of equipment, and a lot of hobbyists have no problem having this outside of the cabinet. I also, just because we're in here, there's the CO2. Big fan of the UNS mini regulator. I think it's definitely under $100. It works like a champ, and it's easy peasy. And that's what I've been using on this aquarium, and you can see the results. I added the tap system so it's easier to maintain a filter. Not necessary, but definitely really helps during cleanup time. And I don't want to get into the tech too much here. By the way, that is ADA's skimmer. It's a crap ton more money than like Eheim's, but when I was buying the Superjet and just fell in love with the stainless steel, I mean, I'm like your spouses at the kitchen store. I want stainless steel, and well, ADA knows that about people, knows that about hobbyists and our OCD perfectionism. So I bought the skimmer. It's not running right now. I only run it when I see a lot of biofilm up at the top. You can see a little bit of it now. And the shrimp like to come up. I got Bloody Marys in here, and earlier, maybe before the light was at its full impact, there was a whole group of those shrimp up here. There's an Amano shrimp, and they're doing what I'm telling you. See, I disrupted the biofilm, and now you see them feeding off of it. It's almost like they felt the disturbance to the water when I put my fingers in there, and these jumbo Amanos came right up. I'm a big believer in Amano shrimp. You know, even if you don't see them, or even if when they get big, they're almost a little disturbing looking, you know, like big bugs. They do a wonderful job. So Takeshi Amano knew what he was talking about. That's why they're named Amano shrimp, after that icon of our hobby, because he introduced them to the world in terms of their benefit for fish keeping. I have them in all my tanks. So no matter how long I stood here and filmed and talked, the only fish that continued to be unabashed in their behavior, you know, just the antithesis of shy, are these corydoras. Something else, right? The other fish are so much more colorful. I mean, obviously everything's more colorful than an albino, but God, I don't know what this tank would be without them. It would be a water garden and an occasional fish, right? Even though there's 30 other fish in here at least, to say nothing of the invertebrates. You see a couple of Amanos joining the Corydora ballet. If you have any questions or want to learn more about this setup, by all means hit me up. I'm happy to help. Matter of fact, I rejoice in it. So folks, always keep your hands in the tank, albeit carefully, and ciao for now.